born and brought up in Bangalore. I've always lived here, and from a lower middle class family with the traditional setup and all that. However, being from a matrilineal system, I never had this issue of girls being sidelined at home, or we had equal opportunity because I have an elder brother, so both of us were treated equally throughout, and a lot of importance was given to studies and building a career. So this was something, so that way I had a very good foundation in terms of upbringing. However, there was always this issue of finance. So everything used to work within that framework, whatever is possible. So that is how, so that way, if you look at, I always had, I always knew that I want to do something good in my career and, in the society. So because that's how the upbringing was. Like, we were always brought up in such a way that we had, we were sensitive to what was happening around us. So I did my, I took the subject of environmental science itself, which was very different at that time. That is during those days, not many people knew about environmental sciences, and not many colleges offered it. And this was a subject which, because I used to do a lot of reading, so I knew that this was something which is going to be the future. So I took this subject, even though I was good in academics. So people thought that I would take engineering or medicine. And those days, that was, even today, in fact, that's something which is sought after by most of the middle class families. But I was very sure, and my parents supported me, and I took this subject. And I think, looking back, no regrets. I think I've done good. So I did my master's in environmental sciences. I did my MBA in the Commonwealth Executive MBA. And while studying itself, I also did my journalism, my genetics honors. So I usually used to look at things which support the environmental sciences, because I was very clear on my career path, because I used to really make sure that whatever I did, it should support this career. Yeah, in terms of selecting my path, and very clear, even in my career, I always, it also happened very organically, but it was quite thought of, because I knew where I want to go, and that's how I built my career also. So, but everywhere, what I had in mind was that this is the subject which I've taken, and I also chose waste management in environmental science as, again, the sub topic. And that, again, when I started in 95, waste management was not even a subject in India. And it was something which usually people who have, did their masters, got good marks, would never enter a field like this. So, but I knew this is going to be most important for our country. And that is how I took it up. So visionary, maybe, I don't know, maybe, yes. But mainly, I always wanted to be a change agent, an institutional builder. That's what I thought would describe me better, because I don't know, it's others who have to decide. See, when I chose the subject, everybody was eager to know what I would take, because in college and school, I was above average, and people, always stood first in class and all that. So everybody was wondering as to what would be my career choice. And when I told everybody that I'm going to take environmental sciences, this came as a shock to many people. And that at that point of time, nobody knew what environmental sciences is in our family circles. So more than me, I think they really, I mean, many of them approached when my parents, and they used to confront them and tell them that what is this, how will she make a career, because everybody knew that we have to fend for ourselves, because that way finance was always an issue. But my parents, we used to have discussions at home, and but I used to tell them very clearly, like, look, I may not be able to earn like how the computer sciences, that the IT people are earning in the beginning. But 10 years from now, I'm sure this is going to be a subject. And that time, I would really be the leader here. So, and I also made convince them, saying that look at the kind of problems due to waste management which is coming up, and the environment pollution. So that was something which my parents also understood, because we used to discuss it a lot at home. And so that way, I didn't have any issues at home, although there were doubts in them. When I chose, when I got my first career, I mean, started my first career, I think all my classmates were earning quite well. And I think I was the one who's earning the least. But today, if I look at in terms of money, maybe I'm still not, I may not have crossed their, the standards, but I think I'm doing much better than any of them. So I never had any doubts. I really knew what I want to do, because for me, again, finance was an issue, but I never went behind money. So I always thought that whatever I'm doing, I should make a mark. See, I have this advantage of being in the field for such a long time, because there were many people who started working in this, but they just changed the line in between. And whereas I continued with waste management and I stuck to it. So this is the 26th year without a break I have been working. So there I have an advantage. And I have worked in all the fields of waste management, whether it's biomedical waste, hazardous waste, then construction demolition waste, e-waste, municipal solid waste. So every type of waste I have worked, and I have also been able to bring in that change where, for example, like hazardous waste. I have been able to set up the state-of-the-art facility from the start up to the commissioning, like the concept to the commissioning. And it is available here. Like, so for each of these waste management topic which I've mentioned to you, I have something where I've worked from concept to commissioning. It is set up, it's working well. So for e-waste, for the entire country, I was the one who made the first draft law for e-waste. Also, there were a lot of informal sector, so formalized them. The first formal sectors were established, where I was the lead in that. Then also in the construction demolition waste, in co-processing, for all this biomedical waste, the first facility was also set up, where the DPR was made, helped in the construction. So it is not just the concept side, but till I see that a final disposal treatment facility is set up, I was working in that, and I still follow up with all of them. So wherever I have been, it has not been that I shifted organizations, but my work I continued, and with the same kind of people. So it is all about the passion of that work. So from the beginning, this day I started my work, I have been following those things even today. And so that way, I think I have another advantage, because I know what is happening much better, and I'm always associated with all of them. Um, See, we've started much late, whereas in other countries, especially if you're comparing it with the developed countries, there it is always the problem with infrastructure. We're not uh, in pace with our development. So we always, haphazard development used to happen, and then our cities are not geared up for all the infrastructure, and that is the same thing with solid waste also. And so that is the reason, because once we don't have a final treatment and disposal facility, then whatever you do here, even if you segregate it, what happens to that? That needs some kind of a final journey, right? And that was not happening, and that is the reason everywhere we are having a problem. So even if we it is not, I don't really believe that Indians have a problem in not segregating, or we don't have civic sense. That is really not true, because we are the same people. When we go abroad, we are able to do it there. So it is not that we are not having civic sense. It is just that the facilities are not there, and there is no accountability. And then suddenly there is so much of importance given to this topic, and everybody sees a lot of money in it. So then what happens is it leads to corruption. I've also been working with some of the smart city programs. And what I realize is people think that smart city is to do with a lot of IT infrastructure built in. And even in terms of waste management, without having the basic infrastructure in place, all of them try to put in some of these fancy things of, artificial intelligence and machine learning, and then you have some chip on your in the dustbin, and that will alert you, and those kind of things, which is not what is necessary at present. Because first of all, you need to have the system in place. It's not just enough that you have an infrastructure, but also a system wherein you have a right time to come and pick up. And first of all, to find out what is the kind of system that needs to be established, what's the quantity, because today, even today, after all these years, the data is missing. And without even knowing the data, we are talking about having a chip, and you have a software to govern it, app to manage it. I mean, all this doesn't work, and that is where it is all failing. So smart city, it's very important that waste management is included. It is included, but it is not included in the right manner, because that has not been understood. And that's where there is a lot of struggle. uh, in fact, when it comes to failure, I think it is still on the solid waste front, because I've have very clear success, which I can talk about, for hazardous waste, which is from the industries. And I've also been able to influence in such a way that in terms of policies, national level, even to get the data for the entire country, to build the framework for it. So that I'm quite satisfied. There's still a lot of work to be done, but at least in terms of setting up a foundation there, it is quite good. Similarly with e-waste management. In fact, I think I'll talk about e-waste management, also about the formalization, which would be interesting. But there again, I'm quite happy. Biomedical waste also similarly, because and contributed quite a lot for the law, and to bring in the technology and all that. However, for solid waste management, although I began my career with this topic, there isn't much success in this. And today, what I feel is, uh, if there need a platform in terms of actually working from within the system, it's like the municipality. So working from outside will not really help. So that is where I still consider that I've failed, and maybe I'm still waiting for an opportunity. So not really, because see, for all the other type of waste, you're dealing with different kinds of stakeholders. And for that, even if you are as a consultant, or as a through a bilateral agency, through an NGO, you can work and you can make a difference. Whereas when it comes to a complete setup to change, you here in solid waste, you need to be part of the municipality. And to become part of the municipality, it is you need to be at the helm there, which means lateral entry, and that is difficult, because not many opportunities are there. It's not that they are not willing to do it, but this is you need to have a multi-pronged approach. You need to know the technology, people, the social setup. You need the legal background. You need several. It's not like it's not like one approach to solid waste. And for that, you need experience of the lessons learned, mistakes that are done. So all these kind of things, for commissioners who are coming from different setups, because they are there for 3 years in one setup, that it's very difficult for them to take decisions of this sort, because you need a technical person to be there, is what I feel. See, journalism was important because I knew that waste management and environmental sciences, and especially in India, it is all to do with awareness and communication. So that is the reason I took up journalism as a diploma while I was studying while I was doing my degree. And I took up projects which were all related to environmental sciences while I did my journalism. So that's so that I could also understand how this is going to help, because writing and communication was very important, and it really helped me, because almost all the proposals that I wrote while I was working, and which I'm doing even today, this aspect is very important, because you need to know how to convince the funding agencies to support this kind of uh, this kind of a subject. So that journalism background really helped me. Genetics I did because at that time there was I just read some of the articles on how we used to have these pollutants which are affecting the human beings, and then it gets carried on, and the next generations are also affected. So when there was this course which is offered in our college, I took up genetics, especially the eugenetics, which is more to do with people and community and family. So that was uh, that actually gave me a different kind of an outlook. I did a lot of interviews of people, so that actually helped me today. But genetics per se, I have not used it so much until today. And I did a lot of projects, like right from school days. Whenever there was anything additional other than what was there in the curriculum, my hands used to go up always. So teachers used to love me because anything and everything, whatever came my way, I always was very open and I wanted to go out and then do these kind of projects. But uh, that is what actually helped me, because I'm such a people's person, and that journey actually helped me. The other day, I was actually talking to some of the students just day before yesterday. I was asked to be the chief guest for one of the programs there, the graduation day. So I remembered that very close to that place, in when I was in eighth standard, I had volunteered for a project which was to find out the how the life changed for many of these bonded laborers who were working in quarries, the stone quarries. No, we have granite quarries in Bangalore, and there were a lot of these bonded laborers there, and they were rehabilitated. And well, I was just in eighth standard at that time, and when this came as a project, I volunteered. I went to all their households. I sat with them and then discussed. I remember they had given us about 4 questions which we had to ask. But then I spent a lot of time in each of their houses, and I didn't go by those questions, but I just listened to their stories, and I learned a lot. And even today, that actually has given me this, to be very empathetic to people, maybe. Because at that age, no, whatever, that's the formative age, and things really get stuck in your brain. And that is why I've been able to work with the informal sector, with the rag pickers. That kind of work is something which I'm doing a lot. And that is why I have a better edge over the others. You asked me, am I a better scientist in environmental science and in waste management? I think that is an edge which I have over everybody else. Even after 25 years, I don't sit in the boardrooms always. It's maximum time I'm spending is in the field. And that's why whatever I'm able to speak in these forums, I have something very different to contribute, which others, after a few years, people think that they should not go back to the field. So I consider myself very fortunate that I've thought of this, and I always have an edge. I've always felt that. And being in the field is something which I really and that, if I can translate it into policies, that is the success that I'm having. And I've always tried to do that. I was telling you that I would like to share something about the informal sector of the e-waste, which I consider as one of the greatest success that I've had in my entire career. And that again was like this, because I remember when I was working in the hazardous waste inventory, that is going to different industries and trying to find out how do we classify the hazardous waste from that industry, from each of these industries. So during many of the visits, I realized that many industries had a typical kind of waste which we could not classify under the hazardous waste category. And then when I looked up and I found out that these are classified as electronic waste in other countries, especially because I was working with the this was something which finally led to a completely different project in our country. So 2002, when nobody had started this topic, we could from Bangalore, initiate this activity. And then we called all the IT industries, and we had set up a forum, and all these were multinational companies. So everybody found that the problem lies with the informal sector, because they said, no, we have to ban this and then get one of these industries from abroad to come and set up the recycling plant here. So I was the only voice which told in the forum that we should not ban this informal sector, but formalize them, bring them to the mainstream. And none of these industries were supportive because they were all CEOs of various industries at that time, and they were against. They said no, that's just thought which is very fancy, and it's nice to be on the, I mean, to write reports about, but that will not happen. But I took it up as a challenge, and thankfully GIZ actually gave me that opportunity. And it was a side project which we started, a small kind of an activity. But today it is also there in the law, which very clearly gives them there are incentives to bring them to the mainstream, and in all forums they still talk about informal sector. And that I could do it with a particular community also. And they were all living in the slum kind of an area, and I really could uh, do many things. And today, if you actually notice, most of them have farmhouses. They used to live in such a small area, maybe just a 10 by 10 house, with their children mostly not studying, or even if they're going to school, they used to go to government schools which are very close by their slum area. And today they have swanky cars, farmhouses, and one of them even invited Hindi film star for the housewarming ceremony. So then you can understand how they have. I mean, what is the kind of financial situation they are in now, and that not just one or two, but an entire area, and that has also got replicated in other parts of India. And today we have almost 65 such units which have come up. 5 of them I worked directly here, but that replication effect has happened throughout the country. And we have 400 odd recycling units in the country today. So it all started off with a small project of an inventorization. So I think that is something which is a great achievement. And all this has happened only because right from my school, I always was in the field. So that's something which I really want to tell all the girls and all the students who are working, to come out of their houses, their four walls, get into the society, and then do the work in the society, because that kind of an experience is something very, very different. Industry was not against the e-waste aspect, but they were against having the informal sectors playing the role of recyclers, because that was also already getting recycled with the informal sector. But the industries felt that it should not be in that kind of a garage setup, and it should move, which is right. But they thought that since they are uneducated and very informal sector, no, so they don't have any formalized structures to deal with these kind of big industries. So they felt that this is going to be more, it will do more harm to the society and also to the environment, because they used to burn the wires and leach the gold and silver and other precious metal using acids and mercury. So these kind of hazardous processes and all, if it has to be stopped, it's very difficult. So they wanted pollution control boards to actually ban all of them. But I said it's not going to be a solution. Instead, mainstream them, help them to improve their technology, help them to not burn, and all these hazardous processes what they are doing, that should be changed. And that is what I could do. And today none of them are doing all this. We use several methods for it. In fact, it's all about capacity building. And it took me almost about 4 years with a team to actually do this. Actually, Vishwesvaraya was somebody whom I really used to, admire. And I think that again, because he was also, although he was an engineer, he did many things which were different, because he used to go to the society. He set up the first industrial association. He helped the set up colleges, the first women's college in Bangalore, and many such things which were, you don't expect an engineer to do that. Because he just didn't limit himself only doing designs and building big infrastructures. So he took everybody together. I still remember we had one lesson in class where there was an anecdote of his, where he went to a school nearby his home, and because the headmaster asked him to come and just speak, and because he was walking on the way, and he went there, he spoke, but then he came back, and then he thought that he didn't do justice in that talk. So the whole night he prepared, went back to the school next day, and requested the headmaster to give him another opportunity to speak to the students. So this I feel is what is necessary for our country. So because whatever you're doing, you should always do to the society, and you should make that difference. And once when you uh, come out of it, and then when you look at it, you should feel that okay, you have done something for the society. I mean, it looks very cliche, but I have always felt this, because when I pass through the project sites which I have worked, and I make it a point to go and see it, and if even there are small problems there, I feel that, oh my god, what have I done? I mean, how can I make this different? And that happens only when you do things to the society. So all these things, I think, I mean, Visheshraya has always been a role model that way. Maybe it's because I had that lesson, and that was there in my mind, and uh, I've emulated that. And then in terms of women, again, because see, I'm from Karnataka, and um, uh, one of the role models which I've had is Akka Mahadevi, because even in poetry, she brought out a lot of sustainability aspects which are connected to society in 12th century itself, and even today it is valid. And she was like, among the entire all the thinkers there, they had this Anubhava Mantapa, which they call it, which is a forum where many of them um, sat and discussed, and they actually broke a social system in Karnataka, the caste system in Karnataka at that time, that was in 12th century, and she was one of them. So one lone woman who influenced and got this whole thing changed. So that is where that again is something which I really consider as something which is like a which can be influenced. And even today, wherever I am in the board member or the policy discussions, sometimes I'm the lone woman, but it doesn't deter me at all. See, women in terms of in sustainability is also an important aspect, because women know almost all the basic necessities of human beings much better, because whether it's food, whether it's water, and whether it's cleanliness, whether it is health, these are aspects where even much better than men, women understand it. And because they are the ones who are also looking at, you know, uh, they are the nurturers or whatever. So, with children, they always think of all these aspects much better. So that is the reason sustainability, any kind of decisions or policies which are made in sustainability, the representation of women should be at least 50%, and which is missing. Then when it comes to waste management, there are two things. One is, women always have this thing of being much more conscious of cleanliness, as compared to men. So we can do a better job in terms of waste management. Then in term looking at the entrepreneurship, because like a country like India, where we need to bring in revolutionary changes in waste management to catch up with other countries, then we need to have women who should become entrepreneurs here. And this is a good field for women to enter, because there is a flexibility of time. There is also things which you can do in your own surroundings to begin with, because these are things which will give much more confidence to women to start. And once you are in it, and once you are an entrepreneur, and you know how that success is, then you can get into any other field. So like an entry barrier, no? To break that entry barrier, I think it is very good for women to take up entrepreneurship in waste management, so that they can build that confidence, and then they can diversify, get into other fields. So this is a good route to enter, is what I feel. So we have been working a lot with providing this kind of ideas, and also helping them to take up waste management entrepreneurship. And I've also worked with a group of women. This was again an interesting project which also came up like as a chance. This was, we worked with the cricket associations in India. So many cricket associations, we were trying to get the stadiums to become green. And the first stadium to become an eco stadium was the Chinnaswamy Stadium in Bangalore. We also worked similarly with the Ranchi the cricket stadium, that is with Mr. Dhoni and other people there. Similarly in Holkar Stadium, and also Mumbai. So all these places, when we were doing it, I had one requirement which came up. In fact, this was also because I was working with the problem of the textile industry, the garment industry, where they had a lot of these small bits of cloth which was a waste, and they were finding it very difficult to dispose. And then I had a forum where I was talking, and there was one woman who was doing some garment work at her house. So I was talking to her after the event, and she told me that she makes small bags with tidbits of from the tailors in the nearby area. So immediately I connected and I told her, why don't you take the waste from the garment industry and then try and make bags, because then that can be an alternate to the plastic carry bags, and this can be marketed in all the industry, because that was the time when the first law came up for the plastic carry bags, the 20 micron thing at that time. So I told her this can be a good alternative. And that's how we actually took up this. She had all her friends come together. Then I told them what all they could do, and then make things which are alternate to plastics. with small pouches, everything where plastic things were banned. I brought that to them, showed them, and then asked them if they can make with these bits. So a problem of the industry, that is the garment industry, and an opportunity for these women. And finally, there was this problem of also marketing, and that's when I connected with the Green Wicket project, which I was doing for the stadiums. And when there was a match, we had to launch this Green Wicket project, and I told them that to make pouches and give it to all the 40,000 people there. And that became a good entrepreneurship opportunity for all these women. And they started with that. Today we have more than 200 women entrepreneurs in Bangalore who are working, Bangalore and the surrounding areas, in the some of the rural areas, who are now working only on the garment waste, making products out of it. And they have all become entrepreneurs. They just did some job work initially, but today many of them are entrepreneurs. We have almost 200. I'm doing also, and we also have an association called the Kusuri Money, where they have not just the on waste but many other things. So they've all come together. I still help them, and so this is what actually encouraged me to take up women entrepreneurship, because it was a very nice experience, and to really see that so many women are earning on their own and setting up companies, because otherwise they were at home and taking up small job works of stitching uniforms, just the collar and buttons. But today they are entrepreneurs.